Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back to Woke Culture Daily for Wednesday, July 22nd. We're going to hop right in with our usual format. We're going to be starting with our air signs, our water signs, our fire signs, and then into our earth signs. Each sign gets one card. So we're going to ask Spirit to give us clear and direct guidance for all 12 signs. Spirit, anything that anyone needs to know about most importance, I ask that come to the forefront in this here reading. And as always, I thank you in advance, Spirit, because I know you're good for it and whatnot or whatever. No, I'm saying. Anywho. So let's go ahead and cut our deck. If I could get the deck to cut, that would be nice. All right, and Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. And at the bottom of you guys' deck, this is very interesting. Taurus, you had this on yesterday. We have the man holding the coin, but this time he's upright. Thank goodness. So there may be something important to each sign in reference to job offers, money coming in, getting your finances in order, or meeting a man with money that you might be interested in. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, Gemini, whoa. Y'all had this yesterday, but it's in the reverse. What is happening in America? That's crazy. Now, you guys, I've done lots of readings since yesterday, and even clearing this deck before I did this reading, and just the simple fact, I mean, it's already weird that the bottom of the deck is Taurus's card, but really? Okay, so hold on. I need to pull a clarifier on this just because that is blowing my mind. Literally, dude. Wow. That is so insane. That's the same card from yesterday, but it's in the reverse. I gotta clarify this, dude. This is really blowing my mind. That is insane. The first thing that came to my mind seeing that anyway, I don't even want to say it. I want to clarify this first to find out why this is here. Oh my God, that is so weird. Let's see. We have the Knight of Swords. Okay, so, man, this is killing me. Gemini, I don't know how y'all just be stealing the show. Like, literally, I feel like I talk a lot for Geminis already, but it's tripping me out how y'all are stealing the show right now. The fact that I don't even pull clarifiers in the daily. But man, okay, so here's the deal. There's one part of this where if I were to go strictly off of my first inclination, which was Gemini males yet again, I was saying yesterday of you guys having a tendency to wear your heart on your sleeve, but there's a need to utilize discernment. The first thing that would come to my mind with this is more or less, it almost feels like, but I mean, I guess I'm not saying I guess, but I mean, it is normal to do that. The Knight of Swords is more or less going like ape shiznit, you know what I'm saying? It's like being in that zealot stage, and there's a need to reel it back. So it's almost as if for me, like with Gemini males, as if it was solidified, like making a decision. Like if you were kind of on the fence on whether or not you would open your heart, it's like making the decision not to. So this would more or less look like retreating into one's mental space. And oh dog, the Four of Pentacles, that's exactly what's happening. This feels like a survival instinct for me, dude. Taking into account the man holding the coin, this would more or less be on today, my Gemini people, whether you are a Gemini male or a Gemini female, it's either you guys coming to this place on today or dealing with someone like this. If y'all are watching for a Gemini person, this would be someone who has been hurt so many times, right? Or it's someone who's just legit emotionally unavailable. And it's like, if this person is very harsh and brash in their communication and speech, or if this is you, it's more or less saying that the whole basis of why this is, because the Four of Pentacles, for me, any of you guys have been watching me for some time, I feel a special type of way about that card just because it's one of the many cards that Spirit has given me a specific revelation on, of how this card has very little to do with a monetary aspect. Anything in the effect of that is more or less a reflection of an energetic stance one has taken. And that's more or less confirmation for me that one has made the decision to more or less shut off their heart space. But a lot of times that's a defense mechanism. So if you're in a position to where you feel too emotionally weak in order to know how to function, you're gonna retreat into your mental faculties and you're gonna focus on things like work and money and things that are tangible, because it's feeling out of control in an emotional sense. But there's a need to be cognizant of that, because, and I mean, be cognizant of it, but I mean, looking big picture, like I said, like zealot stage, that's a part of the process. So, I mean, if that's what you guys need to do right now in order to move forward, then by all means, you know what I mean? It's just gonna be something that you're going to be dealing with later on, because, you know, depending on the individual, there's certain facets of our humanity where it's solely a survival instinct type of thing. And Spirit allows us to do that because it may be a faculty where it's gonna cause some hindrance, but it's not going to be as big of a deal as if others were kind of shut down. So this more or less feels to me like a person that needs to get ahead, that needs to move forward, and feeling as if one's emotional space is hindering them in a sense at present. It's more or less going into like mind, and I'm gonna focus on work and money and things that I can control, because the emotional realm is kind of outside of that realm of control. And I mean, if that's working for you right now, then for like, by all means, you know, do so. But for others of you, it's more or less dealing with someone like this, like dealing with a person who's very, very cerebral, that's very in their head, that may come off very brash, very analytical, where it's not really so much considering emotions. And I mean, for others of you, it could be a lady too, but it feels very much like a masculine energy to me. And the reason for that is more or less because this person is cut off from their heart space, and they're more concerned about, you know, monetary stuff or tangible things, or it could just be a person who's not spiritually aware, and the why behind why they're not spiritually aware. So keep an eye out for that, Gemini. Man, that blows my mind on so many levels. I cannot even right now. Like that's insane. But whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you guys need to move forward, you know, more power to you, my friend. Just know that if this is a lesson that you choose not to learn, or you don't really feel equipped to deal with, just know it's gonna come back around. And you'll be able to deal with it at a time where, you know, you may feel stronger to deal with it. Now, for my Libra people, I know you're kidding. We have the door to spirit. Wow. Okay. So Libras, on today, my friends, it's almost a similar theme to what it is that I'm seeing with my my Gemini people, in the sense that there's a closing off of one's heart. You know what I mean? There's an opportunity that's ushering you guys into a sense of freedom, in so many words, but it's not seeing it as such, you know? So I feel almost on today, and like I say, these are just daily energies, so it's not saying that this is like your month, you know what I'm saying? Maybe on just today you guys are dealing with this, but it's more or less the same issue I see with Gemini, where it's disconnecting from that very emotional space. But the only downside of this is that there's viable information that can be missed on today, Libra. And I'm even thinking about the card that you guys had on yesterday, which was the balance card. Sorry, I got a little parched there. Which is the balance card. And the reason why there's a lack thereof of intuition or intuitive guidance on today, it's more or less because of that disconnect with that heart space. So the advice that I would give to you guys, like I was saying yesterday, giving you kudos for doing, you know, so well up to this point, it's more or less not letting yourself be deterred from the path that's very clear for you all to follow through, and has been clear for you all to follow through. Now, for others of my Libra people, it may literally be financial issues, of more or less being focused on a lot of spiritual things, and, you know, so on and so forth. And it's kind of having this sensation on today, maybe, you know, a bill you didn't know about, or some sort of unexpected expense, or a father figure, even for some of you. It's more or less being dropped out of this optimistic, you know, very spiritual, meditative state of being you guys have been in for the last couple of weeks, and being shocked back into, you know, reality in a sense, right? But the thing I would say is, here, this seems like another test for you all, where you guys want to take into account and again apply what you learned like on yesterday. Because for yesterday, for you guys, it was more or less like a person that threw you off kilter. You know what I mean? And that person who threw you off kilter could, I don't know, be somebody that you owe money or something, right? But the whole key is here is to get back into that state of balance that you guys have been preparing to exist in up to this point. Now, for my Aquarius people, you guys have the attachment card. And with the attachment card, Aquarius, I feel it's a level of obliviousness on today. I feel that there is, I feel this more in a sense of like a professional type of thing. There may be something that's not necessarily working for you guys, or something that you guys don't necessarily feel congruent with, or it could literally just be a money issue, but it's something on a deep level that you guys know isn't in your highest good, something that isn't really fulfilling to you. But the main thing that's keeping you connected to it, the main thing that is stopping you from moving forward from it, is like a loss of identity, if you will. So an example of this would be like, say if someone, you know, wanted to quit their job, you know, because you hate what you do, and you wanted to pursue some sort of art, right? Or I don't know, anything. And it's more or less the fear of breaking away from what you're doing, because when you leave this job, like, I don't know if you have like what's a big league kind of job? I don't know if you're like I literally said judge yesterday, but let's just go with judge. Let's say you're like a judge, so you're like an elected official, people know you as a judge, you've always been known as a judge, and you want to be a photographer. But the only thing that's stopping you from leaving the bench, in so many words, is the fact that you won't be the judge anymore. You know what I mean? So it's not fulfilling to you. It's not really what your heart is calling you to do. It's more or less you're only staying because there's some sense of identity, which is, ego, which is totally natural, that's tied to that specific role that you play. So you get like a sense of personal value from it. And I feel for you guys on today, that's going to be revealed to you, more or less, that the only thing that's keeping you wherever you are, whether it's in a relationship, because, I've heard people say that too, throughout the course of my life, like people who've been, in marriages and they've been unhappy and, they don't really want to be there anymore, but it's not wanting to get divorced, not because they're against divorce, but because it's like, I don't want to be just another divorced chick out here, like just another single chick. And that's more or less because the individual finds value in being someone's wife or husband. You know what I mean? So the real question and test, if you will, for my Aquarius people on today is more or less in a sense of value, not your inherent values, but of conditioned values. And it's more or less like a choice in between what you've been conditioned to do and what your heart is calling you to do. Now, for my Cancer people, you guys have the thinking man. So on today, Cancer, it's you guys more or less self-reflecting, thinking about what you want, how you guys want to move forward, making plans, a strategy on how you guys are going to move forward in your life, you know what I mean? Or in your career. For others of you, it's more or less dealing with someone like this. And if this is someone who's in your life, it potentially could be someone who comes onto your path in the sense of like a teacher or a mentor or something along those lines, or even a friend. It's someone who's very inspirational, someone who's intuitive, that has intuitive gifts, someone who's very, very knowledgeable, and a person who could be a great positive guiding force in your life. And if it's not this person coming into your life, then we're literally just talking about you. But I feel in the sense, if we're talking about you, this is more or less saying for my Cancerian people who are watching this, it's more or less giving you insight into your potential and to possibilities of what it is that you possess within you. And it's more or less giving you charge to do that. And another thing I would say with this also is more or less, if you tune into what it is that you're being led to do or the insight that you're receiving, it can be financially lucrative for you. You know what I mean? And that again makes me think about Aquarius's energy, where it's kind of like, that caught in between. This is more or less a charge to my Cancerian people. And if you're concerned about a financial aspect with following, whatever intuitive guidance you guys are being led to pursue, that it can very much be lucrative for you. And then for my other Cancerian people, there's also an opportunity for jobs on today, like a job offer literally coming in from this particular male figure. So how I would say that I see this, I would say that I would see this only at, what is going on with my throat chakra? Good Lord. The only way that I would see this as specifically a male figure is if this is someone that would be coming into your life and you're a gal. But if you're a Cancerian dude, I could still see this being a male that would be offering an opportunity. But outside of that, I just really feel that if you guys have been concerned about money up to this point, you guys embodying this energy or seeing it within yourself is what the missing link is between you and whatever financial issues you guys are having, right? Now with my Pisces people, I know you lying to me, bruh. The fact that these same cards are coming up, legit, because that was the card that Cancer had yesterday. Whew, this is so crazy to me. So Pisces, I can say for you guys on today, crisis averted. I feel for you guys, it's going to be either unexpected finances that come in for you guys on today, or something that you thought you had to pay for that you don't have to pay for, or I don't know why I want to say this has something to do with a car. Why? I mean, I don't know why. I do know why. But man, this has a lot to do with a lot of stuff, Pisces. It's something with yesterday, with not full moon, the new moon in Cancer, something to do with intentions you set. It's some people who have issues with their car and it being like less than I guess you expected to pay, or some sort of repairs or something like that. It's something that you guys had to pay for. And it's almost like a sense of anxiety and worry about paying for this particular thing. But it's realizing today, like, I guess, you know, if you get a quote or an estimate, appraisal, whatever the case may be, that it ends up being a lot less than you expected to pay. And for others of you, because I heard this when I said the whole appraisal word, where others of you where it may be some sort of money you guys expected to get, or a job offer you got and you were quoted a certain amount and it ends up being more than you expected. And then for others of you on a relationship kind of level, I feel it's more or less like maybe issues, arguments, or something like that you had with a person in your life. It's finding out on today it's not as bad as you thought. So the whole sense I get with this, Pisces, is the lesson to be learned here, like the biggest takeaway from today for you guys would more or less be, with whatever happens on today, on some level or another, it's like proving you wrong. Because I get the vibe of, and let me clarify that when I say that, it's more or less how you thought about it in your head or what you expected is a lot worse than what actually happened. And that's what the biggest takeaway is for today. So it's almost like being in a downward spiral of disaster thinking, and then something comes about and, you know, it's like, oh, my life is falling apart and all these bad things always happen to me and why me and and then something happens and you're like, oh, so it wasn't that bad. And I feel that's the thing I'm seeing that's like the snapshot of today, because I feel with this, it's like a repetitive pattern. It's like something happens and it's almost like going completely off the deep end as if this is the worst possible thing that could ever happen. And then it ends up becoming where it's not, if that makes sense. So that would say to me that the thing that Spirit is wanting you guys to take away from this event on today is that a lot of times the storms that you guys are experiencing or the darkness that you guys are experiencing is of your own making. It's not really so much the situation at hand, it's how one is perceiving that situation at hand, right? Now for my Scorpio people, you guys have the second chakra. So we're talking about creation energy for you guys on today. Your sacral chakra, Scorpios, is very intricately related to your passion, your desires, what drives you. It's your sexual energy. It's that driving force behind your doings, right? So it's more or less, I like to look at it as the gasoline of your humanity, if you will. So it's more or less what lights your fire. It's like, why are you doing what you're doing? What's the drive behind what it is that you're doing? Like, what's your purpose? What's your reason? And the way that one cultivates this energy or exists within this energy, in so many words, is through the marriage of the mental space and the heart space, right? So if you look at it as a marriage between these two things, the child that it births is a child named passion. You know what I mean? When your heart and your mind are married. So it's more or less saying to my Scorpios on today that if you're looking for motivation, if you're looking for passion or fervor, like an oomph behind what you guys are doing, or just simply just motivation to do anything, you know what I mean? The answer to that lies in what is it that your heart is crying out for, and it's your heart, that desire, using your mental faculties, right, as a tool to manifest that, so you can channel that that passion through that medium, in so many words. So I feel for you guys, it's more or less a moment of clarity on today, of you guys getting very clear on what it is that's important to you. And of course, there's opportunity for creating something new. There's opportunities for expansion. And then there's opportunities as well to, how do I want to say that? To end a cycle of stagnation, if you will, because it's almost like a loss of drive or a loss of fervor for something, but that being renewed on today. Now for my Leo people, we have financial constraint. Man, Capricorn had that yesterday in the reverse. This is so weird, dude, because I'm tripping out about how many readings I've done today and how many times I've shuffled this deck. And just the simple fact that literally the last reading that I'm doing on today is the daily. And it's like, these cards are so similar to yesterday, that's boggling my mind right now. Like, if I didn't touch this sucker since yesterday, I would get it. You know what I mean? But it's like, what is happening in America? Pay me no mind. Moving right along. So for my Leo people, I'm so sorry for taking your time, Leo. Please don't roar at me. But for my Leo people, I feel that there's a need for you guys to tighten the purse strings on today. I feel that there's been a little bit of excessive spending, and there's a need to, how do I want to say this? Finding the root. Do I want to say root? No, it's like finding, okay, let's say it like this. It's like, okay, you know how you can have I hope y'all know what I'm about to say. How you can have a slow leak in your tire, right? And if you go to get the tire repaired, like the guys at the tire shop, they're going to take your tire and they're going to roll it like in water. Like, I don't know, they have like some soapy water stuff. And they find out where the slow leak is, because where that little hole is, it's going to bubble, right? I feel that for you guys, in the sense that your financial aspect of your life is like the tire. And today it would behoove you to kind of roll that tire in soapy water to find out where the slow leak is coming from. Because I feel for you guys, there's a lot of opportunity and potential to not necessarily increase your finances, but more or less cut back on some things but it's gonna require you to really take like some concerted effort, if you will, to really take a look at where the problem's really coming from. Because it could be something as simple as like memberships of things that you may have joined that are just kind of still drawing out of your bank account, or you know, and I literally had this conversation earlier with one of my clients too, where it's stuff that's being drawn out of your bank account, or maybe eating out every day. It's like, I feel that there's some area with your finances where you guys could take a step back that would be beneficial for you, but it's gonna require you to really go through your finances with a fine-tooth comb. It could even be something as simple as going to your car insurance company, because I know there's a few car insurance companies that are doing that now, where because of the whole Rona debacle, they're cutting back on rates because people aren't driving as much. So there may be a discount or some sort of refund that you may qualify for, but the main takeaway I see for this, Leo, is whatever it is that you guys are in need of, right? Whether it's literal finances or we're talking about energetic currency, right? And the fact that you don't have the push, or you don't really feel like you're receiving that, like you feel kind of alone and you don't really have help per se, you know what I mean? The solution to your problem can be found via concerted effort. So you're gonna have to dig a little deeper and look a little closer to find a solution to it, but a solution lies there in a place where you may not have looked very deeply, right? Now, for others of you, this could simply be getting a loan from somebody, whether it's your parents or friends or a partner. It's kind of hitting some money trouble and getting some support from somebody that you know, but it would specifically be a male figure, or you guys may be doing that for someone else. And for my Aries people, you guys have victory in the reverse. Oh my goodness, Aries, don't make me spank your butt. Yesterday, you guys had the solar plexus chakra. So I feel for my Aries people on today, how I was saying yesterday, that it's more or less a sense of needing approval, or for someone to, how can I say it? For someone to give you guys like the okay to go, in so many words. And then another way that I'm seeing this is a lot of different ways, Aries. Let me get them all out. For some of you, it's like you took a chance on something, it didn't quite pan out like you wanted, and you're seeing it as a failure, and it's really not. You know what I mean? It's more or less not to give up and to keep trying. And I feel compelled to tell a story I used to tell all the time on my channel eons ago, about the guy who created the cleaning spray 409. The reason why it's called 409 is because he had to modify the formula 409 times before he finally got it right? So I feel that with you guys, you may have been motivated to take a chance on something. Some of y'all might have been motivated to, tell a chick you thought was cute hi, and she was like, I got a boyfriend, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't really quite pan out how you thought. But I want to piggyback on what I said to Pisces. It's a matter of perception, right? So this is more or less like a test of your will. You know what I mean? Victory is more or less, it still falls into that arena of being victorious in alignment with what other people think about you. And that's not really the lesson here that I feel that you guys are intended to learn, Aries. It's more or less victory is defined by you. So even to the world, it can seem like an L, right? A loss. But to you, it could still be a win because of your perception, right? And I feel that's the power that is attempting to be cultivated in you all, you know what I mean? And I do feel some sense of comparing and contrasting. It's this standard or perspective of how it is that you're seeing something, and it's missing that mark. And because of missing that mark, it's judging yourself based on missing that mark, but not questioning who set that mark in the first place. You know what I mean? So in so many words, what it's saying for me today on Aries, if I could be the person that approves of you, my friend, it's saying that you have what it takes. You're in possession of it, but you're always going to feel like you don't until you take the initiative to see it in yourself. So much like yesterday, this is all a matter of perception, and this can shift once you shift, right? Now, from a Sagittarius people, you guys have the 7th chakra in the reverse. I don't know if that came up for y'all yesterday. I think it came up for Leo yesterday, not this one, but a card about intuition. So Sagittarius, the whole issue here is we're talking about you guys not listening to spirit, you know what I'm saying? However, I understand why you're not. It's not tapping into your inner will and your deeper resource of knowledge, because I don't know, this is so weird where this is going, where I'm looking at Sagittarius. Y'all, I don't know astrology, but I'm just gonna say what I heard. It's like 9th house energy, right? And the 9th house, and please, people who know astrology, do not laugh at Princess right now, because I'm just trying to ride this little intuitive wave right here, you know what I'm saying? But 9th house is like it's expansion, it's like other cultures, distant places, exploration, and like higher education and things of the sort. And it's more or less, I'm seeing this as you guys acting out of alignment with yourself. You know what I mean? So it's an energy that my Sagittarius are in on today. That's like the polar opposite of your innate nature. So your innate nature is more or less, it's like claircognizance, spontaneous wisdom. It's, intellectualism and being this very deep, profound person by nature. And on today, it's you guys being in dissension with that. Now, the reason for this is because there's more or less potentially, because like I say, it's just a day, you guys could be more concerned, like my Libra people are up here, with financial, day-to-day, mundane kind of tasks and responsibilities. So it's more or less having to focus more on 3D everyday kind of concerns on today. And that can be why you guys have kind of stepped out of that space. And then for others of you, I feel this more or less in a, child. Okay. Whoa. All right. Okay. For some of you guys, all right. For some of y'all, and I feel this specifically for females, or if you like dudes, you know what I'm saying? Unless, maybe if somebody was like listening to the whole thing and you dealing with a Sagittarius and you watch this and then anyway, but it's somebody who's in your life that is causing you to box yourself in, if that's making sense. So how I would see this is like a person who's very expansive and driven and has all of these, goals, dreams, ideals, all of these things that they want to experience in life, but it's almost coming into a partnership or a relationship where this person is stifling, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like that fervor you had and that spark and, wanting to do all of these things and all these different opportunities that you felt were available to you. It's like this person would either just be controlling, or this person isn't spiritual at all. And from spending so much time with them, that's starting to kind of rub off on you. So it would be one of those things where if you talk about spiritual things with someone, and I feel this heavy as a relationship, but I mean, for some of you guys, it could be, you know, friends or people that you're in close proximity to that you can't really get away from. But it's like not having the opportunity to really talk about these things, or when you talk about these things with this person, it's like they don't get it. You know what I mean? So it's like they're not really into spirituality. And with spending so much time with them, it's almost like the more spiritual stuff that you watch or you talk about, it slowly would become you over time, to where, you know, over time it would become all that you speak about. But from being around a person or like people who aren't reflective of that, and when you do talk about it, there's kind of no reciprocity in the conversation, you would switch to talking about the stuff that they talk about. And I feel like that's happened for so long that you've unknowingly put yourself into a box, to where now you're showing up in a vibration that's the polar opposite of where you were. But where you are is now reflective of who you've been around, if that's making sense. And for others of you, it could literally just be that it's being so caught up in the humdrum day-to-day kind of activities, to where you've kind of lost sight of your ground, if you will. So the biggest takeaway from my Sagittarius on today is more or less getting reacquainted with yourself and getting reacquainted with your ground in your base. So it's not really saying to vacate 3D or, you know, and to completely retreat into the spiritual. It's more or less finding a happy balance between the two and existing in both realms simultaneously, if you will. Now, for my Capricorn people, you guys have blossoming abundance in the reverse. And what I want to say about that, Capricorn, taking into account that you guys had financial constraints in the reverse on yesterday, this is more or less a forewarning for you guys that if your mindset doesn't change, and I feel like I kind of touched on that yesterday, if your mindset doesn't change, neither will your money, in so many words. Because the blossoming abundance isn't saying that you guys get something and you lose it. You know what I mean? It's just telling you that if your mind doesn't align with this abundance, you could potentially squander it. Meaning, it's like letting money burn through your fingers, or getting money and spending it, whether that's a lump sum of money or it's just your paycheck. You know what I mean? So this is still speaking to me for my Capricorn people about needing to create a financial plan. It's an awareness of where your money is going, what you're doing with it, and how your money can work for you. So it's more or less that there isn't an expansion in your financial arena because it's related to a mindset. It's like, it's not having a wealth mindset or thinking, it's almost like a limited type of thing, because it's like the thing I'm hearing is like, you know, like a person saying like, well, you know, I don't make money like that. And it's like, you know, I feel you, but there's still something that can be done is the message that I'm getting here. It's needing to rework the program. And the thing that comes to mind for me is of the vibration I'm sensing with this is like, you know, those horror stories of people who like win the lottery, right? And like, I'm talking like people who win like millions, right? And they end up like broke in a year, or, you know, I don't know, on drugs or spending all their money on family or whatever. The reason why that happens is because money doesn't change people. situations and circumstances don't change people. Love doesn't change people. The only thing that changes people is the person. You know what I mean? So you can feel that if I were to win $500 million, my life would be totally different. And it's like, no, your bank account would be different, but you would still be exactly the same. You'd still be you, just with $500 million. You feel what I'm saying? So whatever bad habits you have broke are the same bad habits you're going to have when you have money. So if you spend $100 a week on fast food, you know what I'm saying? When you have $500 million, you might spend $10,000 a week on fancy ass food. You know what I'm saying? But it's still that same mentality. So what this is saying to me is more or less one is being called to switch into an abundance mindset. And if it's those of you who are struggling financially, when your mindset about money changes, meaning coming out of agreement with a lack mentality, or feeling like there's a trickle drop of you getting your money, or thinking that you're stuck in your situation and saying like, you know, I don't have enough money and I can't do that because I don't have money. Coming out of agreement with that mindset is your first step to getting above the fray, if you will. So this is less about money and it's more about mindset, Capricorns. Now for my Taurus people, we have cornucopia. So for my Taurus people, this isn't really so much, this can be beneficial in the sense of financially, but this is more or less about a state of being. It's living in a state of joy, and that being the true frequency that is the gift that keeps on giving, if you will. So it's more or less like thinking about like what I was saying for Capricorn, it's more or less existing at a vibration before you have it, which is the first key to manifestation. So when we talk about manifesting things, we're talking about our emotions, which are hella powerful. You know what I mean? So when you're visualizing something, like if you're doing visualization to manifest, it's not just about like seeing yourself, you know, rubbing on $500 million or, you know, loving on your future spouse. It's about allowing yourself to feel what it would literally feel like in that space, right? And I say that to say that for my Taurus people, by default, that's what has created a transformation in my Taurus people's lives. I feel like on today for you guys, it's more or less about waking up to see that. It's more or less it's almost being lost in your own manifestation, like you still got your eyes closed and you're like, ooh, this gonna feel so nice when this happens. And forgetting to open your eyes and realize that you're actually where you were trying to manifest. So this is almost like a signifier for my Taurus people of saying like, hey, look up, look around. You know what I mean? It's like you've manifested that which you set out to manifest. However, and I say this a lot with my Taurus people, it's don't rest on your laurels. It's because you guys may have accomplished a certain level or achieved a certain thing, it's imperative to keep going, to do this for something else now. You know what I mean? But I do feel like there's a need for you guys to enjoy the harvest. And I feel like I've said something like that temporarily for you guys before. Was that last week? I actually feel like it was last Wednesday that I said this. It was either last Wednesday or the Wednesday before last, which is hella funny for me because I don't work on Wednesdays, y'all. But it's like this being a day that it's like a respite day. It's enjoying the fruits of your labor, if you will, but not staying there for too long because it's just kind of a temporary pause before you continue on your path and journey. So this is more or less a day to enjoy what you've created and to not stop existing in that state of joy, because that's what's drawing in this cornucopia of blessings for you all, right? Now, for my Virgo people, ooh, I like this, the Magician in the Mirror. I'm starting to think that Virgo listened to Princess on yesterday and created a little strategy. I'm just saying. So Virgo, this is pretty much telling you guys that you are the author and heir of your destiny in so many words. It's like you guys possess the power in your hands. I know on yesterday, I was talking to you guys about like what I said for Taurus, manifestation, but saying that there's an element of strategy. So even like I said for, what was that, Scorpio, I think? For my Scorpio people, of more or less listening to your heart's desires, following those heart's desires, but marrying that to your mental faculties and using them as a tool to be able to manifest said desires. This is the same thing that you guys listened to Princess on yesterday and did. And this is how you step into your power. It's like once you understand how both your heart space and your mental space work for you, you know what I mean? And this is making me kind of look at my Gemini people too. But once you realize how your heart space and your mental faculties work for you and how the two come together to, you know, transmute and create this entirely new element that thrusts you forward, that's how manifestation happens. So this is more or less for my Virgo people on today. It's you guys realizing that you are the one who possesses that power, right? That the only thing that has stood between you and everything you've ever wanted was you. And the only thing that you needed to do in order to achieve that which you set out to achieve is seeing, believing, and accepting that you are the door, the vehicle, the rhyme, reason, method, whatever, you know, adjective you want to use here, or more or less like verb, I guess, moving right along, that stands between you and your destiny. So this is more or less my Virgo people on today standing in their power in so many words. It's realizing that you are the magician, you know? And I would even go as deep as to say that if we just talk about tarot in general, it's like all four suits of the tarot, and thinking of the actual magician card, the first card in the major arcana, and how he has them all on his table. It's like that's what the greatest lesson in life is that everything that you've ever wanted and desired in this life and the method in which to get it has always existed inside of you. It's never been inside of anyone else. You've never needed anyone else. You never needed, you know, their kudos. You never needed their acceptance. You never needed their approval. You never needed their money. You never needed their love. Everything it is that you desired in life begins and ends with you. And the moment that you realize that, you become the author as well as heir of your destiny, and you are in control of your experience and get to sit in the director's chair of life, my friend Virgo. All signs, this has been your reading for today. I hope you guys have an amazing Wednesday, my friends. I will be back on tomorrow, and I love your face, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.